It's time for Pod of the Dead. Join us!
Okay. Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I'm your host, Nicholas, and as always, I am joined by the final girl, Natasha.
Hi! If this is your first time listening, we review horror movies. If you've seen the movie, stay with us. If not, go to the end of the episode where you will get our homework for the following week. If you check in the description of this episode, you will see our Patreon where you're able to vote for upcoming movies that we will watch. And on today's episode, we are talking about Gerald's Game from 2017. This is a psychological horror film directed and edited by one of my favorites, Mike Flanagan. The screenplay was written by Flanagan and Jeff Howard, which is an adaptation of the 1992 novel by Stephen King of the same name. This movie was thought to be unfilmable originally based on the context of the movie. This film stars Carla Gugino and Bruce Greenwood, who are a married couple that go to an isolated lake house for a holiday retreat. The husband ends up dying suddenly, and his wife is left in handcuffs with little hope of a rescue, and she needs to find a way to survive.
So before we go into anything for this movie, Natasha, would you like to list the amount of trigger warnings that watching this movie or continuing on in this episode you feel need to be addressed?
Yes. A bunch. Okay.
Without giving away anything. That's very important.
Without giving away anything.
Well,
cannibalism, molestation, rape. Those are the three big ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Okay, so what's really funny, before we start getting into any actual information about this movie, of which there is little to be found, which is kind of annoying considering that's kind of what we front load the episode with. You sent me like a text about like, not to say what you said, but just very much that kind of reaction stuff. I'm sitting watching this movie, literally cackling, laughing at certain things about the movie, not in a bad way, but just because of how, like, for lack of a better term, I'm rooting for the dog and all this stuff. Just like, oh, he's such a good boy, like all of this kind of.
The dog was adorable.
I know, right? But like, there's just a bunch of that kind of stuff, and like, the banter between characters and stuff like that, I was just fucking laughing about, like, and I think it's meant to be in a way because the subject matter is so heavy that it has to have that kind of like, you got to be able to breathe, because like, if this, for me anyhow, if this was as grim as other films that I've seen, it's not enjoyable. Now, that enjoyability and like and all that, that's a matter of opinion, right? But like, if I weren't laughing and shit like that, like throughout the film, this would have been an extremely depressing film. But because it has bits of levity throughout it, it just makes it into like, oh, this is kind of a heavy movie.
Yeah, I wasn't laughing.
Well, and that's a very interesting dynamic that we're going to have, considering I'm a man, some would say, and you're a woman, others might say, and seeing through those lenses definitely gives a wide range of perception, which is a big deal in this movie, or the movie. So you gave us a very interesting overview, but that is not the overviews that I saw online.
All right, give it to me.
All right. So what I've got is in a version of 1985 where superheroes exist, the murder of a colleague sends active vigilante, the Moonlight Man, on the trail of a conspiracy that will change the course of history.
I have no idea.
All right, so Carla Gugino, she played Silk Spectre in The Watchmen. Have you ever watched The Watchmen?
I have not, but I've seen her in so many other things. I was like, I'm going to get her at least.
How the fuck have you not watched The Watchmen? It's like one of two good Zack Snyder films. That and what's the other one? Dawn of the Dead remake, which we may be covering in the near future. All right, so that must not have worked for you.
That's it.
How about this one? After he finds out that his work supervisors host a dinner celebrating the idiocy of their special guests, a rising executive questions the merits of his invitation just as he befriends a man who would be the perfect guest.
Dinner for Idiots?
Dinner for Schmucks, yes.
Dinner for Schmucks.
Yeah, you were right there. Bruce Greenwald plays Lance Fender, who is the boss, like, of the movie. So, yes.
Got it.
Like, when I saw him in this, I was just like, wait, I know this guy. He's also been in a lot of other Mike Flanagan stuff since this. But, yeah, like, that's the one thing that I actively knew him from. And lastly, con artist planned to fleece an eccentric family using an accomplice who claims to be their long-lost uncle.
It's gotta be whoever plays the Midnight Man, because there are so few characters in this movie.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.
Oh, does he play Thing?
Lurch.
Lurch.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
of course he plays Lurch.
Carol Strucken plays Lurch in the Addams Family. So yeah, like I was like, hey, he looks familiar, and I was like scrolling through. I was like, motherfucker's part of my childhood.
Yeah. That was a really interesting synopsis of Addams Family that didn't click with me.
Yeah, it's supposed to be vague. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. All that being said, usually we cover like the box office and its budget and stuff. Considering that this was picked up to be a Netflix original, I don't know if this is common with that, but yeah, no budget to be found anywhere. So obviously this movie was made for free or $1 billion. No in-betweens. And it's one of those things that no one can know if something is actually successful on streaming. You just get whatever the streaming service says.
Yeah.
But after this is where Mike Flanagan gets all of his television series that are Netflix exclusives.
Oh,
so
I thought this came out afterwards.
No, this comes out. Then the next thing is The Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, which there's an Easter egg of in this, The Fall of the House of Usher, and now he's no longer with Netflix. He's with Amazon, I believe. But yeah, obviously this was a success for Netflix. And also, like, there are reasons that I stayed away from this movie. One being that I've never liked a Mike Flanagan work personally. It's not my style. This movie possibly changed my mind on that. And then I've seen so many Stephen King adaptations that, like, when I see his name attached to something, it's not that I don't want to watch it. It just doesn't go to like the top of my list.
Right.
You know, like and that's not saying that I don't like Stephen King stuff. I've just seen so much that I like to broaden my net, you know, like there are a lot of Stephen King films and miniseries and all this stuff that I do love or hold near and dear to my heart for nostalgia reasons. But like this one, it was just like Mike Flanagan's doing a Stephen King. I'm good. Just like Mike Flanagan's newest work that he's in the process of is an Exorcist like remake.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, do I really want to see that? Not necessarily. I've seen The Exorcist. I've seen multiple Exorcist films. I'm good. Like, I mean, he could easily make the greatest exorcism movie of all time, and I'll be like, good for him. And if someone makes me watch it, I'll watch it. Or if I got nothing better to do and it's there, but I'm not like, oh fuck yeah, you know. Yeah. I imagine for you, you're like, please make something that's not The Exorcist, because how much you don't care for The Exorcist, but like Mike Flanagan.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I really like things. I feel like I like things that aren't adaptations. I like, aside from his series, which are, but his movies that are his original movies are gold the first time through. This one did not hit the way that the others did, and I was very upset by that.
I am interested, considering He did Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining. And I've heard that that's his best film. So I am interested to check that out, considering how much I do like The Shining. The reason I stayed away from it, though, was the same reason I stayed away from this. I was like, Mike Flanagan, I'm good. Like, I really don't need that. But maybe I do. I don't know. So,
I've also heard that this was his best movie. So, and I personally think Oculus is his best movie.
Oculus is good. We covered it as our first episode on the podcast. So you can go back and listen to us, but be warned.
Be kind.
Be kind. Those first 8 episodes, not the greatest.
Yeah.
We were definitely learning. Not to say that we're not now. We still suck. You should have heard us before we actually all the shit that we cut out at the beginning of this, which wasn't fun for you listeners. But yeah, so like I said, there are some interesting little, Easter eggs in this movie, such as the headboard that is in this movie is the lower half of the laser glass from Oculus, which is the mirror in that film. Also, there is a book entitled Midnight Mass, which is shown in this, which Katie Siegel's character from Hush is the author of. You see her writing it, and it's also a television series that he made for Netflix, Mike Flanagan, that is. So I like where he just kind of has his own little world of Easter eggs. Like, I'm always down for that kind of stuff.
You can tell he definitely takes some license from Stephen King, because he does the same thing in his books. Yeah. And also another Easter egg, Kate Siegel was in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, she is in all of them.
Nepotism. Something really kind of cool, though, kind of a side tangent or whatever, but this year the Shudder always puts out any more. They own the rights to the VHS series. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those, Tasha. No, they're anthology movies that are meant to be found footage. So you get it's a collection of tapes that get put in, whatever. So the newest one is all Alien based. It's kind of set up like these tapes were found, and it's kind of like an anthology of like a documentary of we found this, take what you can from it. There is one that is directed by Kate Siegel, and it's written by Mike Flanagan. That's actually probably one of the better ones. This year's was VHS Beyond. Also, another director on it is Justin Long. He has a short on there, and it's fucking hilarious. It's gross and weird, but it's hilarious. So if you got time, it's under 2 hours. You get 4 shorts in it, and you're in and out. And yeah, there's somebody else that had the first one that I was like, holy shit, that's fucking great. I can't remember, but the first one's fucking madness. But yeah, if you're ever looking for granted, we're outside of what some would consider the spooky season, but I keep the spooky season in my heart year round. So every day is Halloween in this dojo. So but yeah, so 2017 is when this came out. To give kind of a sense of what was coming out around that time is, I'm not going to run down the exact who was top of the box office, but to give you a real deal thing is you've got It, Get Out, Split, Alien Covenant, So it was a decent year for horror. We're starting to get back into R-rated horror, getting its props back. We're starting to pull away from PG-13. Thank fucking God, because nothing upsets me more than pulled punches. But also, this is also the last year of the Star Wars trilogy, the new trilogy or whatever. So The Last Jedi comes out, The Fate and the Furious, Despicable Me 3, Spider-Man Homecoming. So Guardians of the Galaxy 2 still in the Disney. We're in this Disney dystopia now where that's basically all that's in fucking theaters. But yeah, like Tasha said, we're going to really go into this film, and we're going to, give our full unedited opinions on this, really get into the story of it, as it were. If you don't want this spoiled, the end of the episode, the last 5 or so minutes, we do give out homework for next week. But if you don't give a shit about spoilers, or you've seen Gerald's Game, why don't you why don't you latch in, brace yourself, and get ready for Gerald's game.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
With that being said, gross. With that being said, Tasha, do you care to give me that 10 out of 10 review that we found online? From the words and journals of Natasha.
It's so hard for me to go against something Mike Flanagan did, but I don't necessarily agree with this 10 out of 10. Here we go. If Mike Flanagan keeps directing films like this, he will turn into modern horror's best director.
I can agree. Yes, sure.
Maybe not for this movie, but whatever. So, as you heard in my review of Hush, Mike Flanagan is, to me, a pretty boring director. What?
This person is right on board with me. Yeah, all right.
I saw Hush and was like, okay, they're in the same camp, but apparently not. Whatever. Everything he makes drags on like a film. Drags on like a film by Mike Flanagan.
Goddamn right.
How is this a 10 out of 10? The only film I admire by him was Oculus, but still Oculus doesn't remain one of my favorite horror movies. Now Mike Flanagan has directed Gerald's Game, the film based on King's famous novel, and when I heard this, I was so not happy. I might have mentioned this in my review of Hush, but anyway, I was so disappointed about, okay, and then he just kind of like,
no, you shit on Hush. Keep shitting on Hush.
I was so disappointed. What about James Wan or something? And after pretty much having, what does he have to do with James? What does it have to do with James Wan?
I think it has a lot to do with like, it's just big people that get a lot of props, right? James Wan, Mike Flanagan, everyone's like, oh, they're so great, but I'm completely on board with this person. It's like, whatever.
I don't understand how this is a 10 out of 10. And now I'm defending the movie. I was defending the director who I was originally not wanting to.
You don't talk about my senpai.
After pretty much having no choice due to the loving of Stephen King, I watched it just there on Netflix. At the start, I thought, seen it, until the film began to dig deeper. And that's when I realized this is it. This and It are the best adaptations of King ever.
Okay.
This film is a brilliant example of a book. It's not like the actress playing her. The actress playing her has no resemblance to the character Jess, like, say, Lindsay Lohan playing her. This woman fit the role like peanut butter blends brilliantly with jam.
Goddamn.
The dude who plays Gerald was amazing. He was so intense and for some reason very nerving or unnerving.
Yeah. Well, yeah, either way, like very uncomfortable. Like just, yeah. I remember you texting me, he's cringy. And I'm like, I think it's like power cringe, right? Like he's in this sense of power, but like you can tell that he's just lacking.
Considering Flanagan, who drags on in his films, directed this, it didn't leave me bored out of my mind. It did me.
It didn't for me.
There were so many things. It was so exciting every minute, every time this guy would talk about the past. I was just jumping in excitement to see the next flashback from her life. Gerald's Game is a brilliant psychological thriller, and I beg you, horror goers, to go watch it now.
Yeah. Something that they didn't touch on. So they're like talking about Bruce Greenwood playing Gerald, right?
Yeah.
Henry Thomas playing her dad and stuff. Before you find out anything about it, I'm just like, this guy's giving off some fucking creepy vibes.
Yeah.
And initially I was just like, man, Mike Flanagan, you really fucked this up. And then it goes the molest route, and I'm just like disgusted. Literally just
oh my God.
Ugh. But like realistically, that's what it's supposed to do. Like, that's the thing. The horror like is a wide umbrella. Now, does that mean like Yes, you know what I like with my movies? A little bit of molest. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I definitely think that he did an amazing job of taking that subject matter. Granted, I think it went a little over the top, but I think he did it in a good way. Does that make sense? Like, there's no good way to be like, hey, let's have a dad molest his daughter, but it could have been way more fumbled, I guess, and like shitty, and not the act, but like the way of making it in the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this pains me to say this because you are like Mike Flanagan top fan stan, right? And I'm over here going, a lesser director would have butchered those scenes, right? I think those scenes really showed his care and like riding that razor line of what is too much.
Yeah.
I think that's what I take from this movie as is. Like, we're going to go to, quote unquote, for some people, too far in a scene later that made me just like, for those that are on Patreon getting to watch the video, you'll get to see my face, but I'm just literally like, oh God, no.
And I was just pissed. There were so many times in this movie, it was past cringe, turned on to like, I just want to fucking turn this off.
Oh my God, really?
I got angry with it.
Okay. All right.
Give me that 1 out of 10.
All right. Thank God you sent me a short one. I couldn't really find a lot of shorter 10 out of 10s, but that tends to be the case sometimes. Some films are so like divisive that some people just need to really get off their chest one way or the other.
And this was one of the longer 1 out of 10s. A lot of them were just like dumb.
Yeah, and like I haven't read this yet, but I just see the headline and it gives me, I don't know. Couldn't even finish. So how can you give a real review? You have to get through the film. And granted, they probably missed the worst part of the film.
The ending's not worth watching.
Because if we just go to the car crash and maybe like a little bit after that, you just end the film there. Because I was like, fucking great. And then we have this exposition that just really knocked it down like probably a whole point. But okay, here we go. 1 out of 10. Unfortunately, Gerald's game falls short of expectations on multiple fronts. The storyline feels like a disjointed patchwork of cliches lacking cohesion and depth. Characters are one-dimensional, delivering performances that range from wooden to cringeworthy. I don't see wooden. As in like very just
like stoic.
Yeah, just very like, I don't see that. And like the cringe worthiness, are we talking specifically about Bruce Greenwood, Gerald?
Imagine.
I don't think that's not intentional. I think it's meant to be that. Like, you're not supposed to like him. He is very menacing at times, and you see his shortcomings like so much, and they make jokes about it and everything, and that's where like you can see like his like like clutching his pearls a bit.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing, like, I understand cringe at times can be off-putting, but this is a character that's supposed to be off-putting, so when it's cringy, it gives you as Jess like the power of seeing, like kind of Wizard of Oz, seeing behind the fucking thing. It's like, oh, he is, which she says at the end of the film, oh, you seem much smaller, you know? That is like her coming, like not just him, like her dad, her husband, all that stuff. So you're seeing that. So, okay, that's enough. Okay. The plot introduces a series of disturbing situations without context or purpose. That's not true at all. There is context and there is purpose.
Yeah.
Leaving audience
extensively about the context at the beginning.
It's literally, it is the driving force of the film. The molestation is everything about this film. So yeah, obviously they must have just not made it very far into this film.
Like the first 15 minutes?
I guess. let's see here. The plot introduces a series of disturbing situations without context or purpose, leaving audiences feeling more bewildered than engaged. False. Despite the film's attempt at suspense, it fails to create a palpable sense of tension, ultimately falling flat in its execution. Overall, Gerald's Game is a forgettable experience that fails to leave a lasting impression due to its bad storyline, subpar acting, and gratuitous use of disturbing situations. Now, I don't believe it's gratuitous. That's where my thing is. Like, uncomfortable? Yes. Problematic? Yes. All those things, right? But like, that's horror. Like, the whole point of horror is like the subversion of what makes you comfortable, and different strokes for different folks, you know. Tasha would have given this film a 10 out of 10 if there was at least one head bashing scene, but there wasn't.
Give me head bashing. Don't give me rape. That's where I stand.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I didn't, going into this, neither of us had seen this film. I knew the context of sexy weekend, husband dies on top of her, and that's it. And I also had ruined for me the hand scene. I did know about it. I did not know at which lengths it went, but I knew about it in, like, I saw some compilation that was like some of the most like horrific scenes in films and stuff. Gotcha. And they showed like the start of it and everything. And I was like, oh, that's fucked up. So I knew that was going to happen in the film. I knew that's how she was getting free. And I knew that Gerald dies on top of her.
Right.
Everything.
Which that's given in the original synopsis.
Okay. Well, it doesn't show her fillet her hand.
No, not that part. The fact that Gerald dies.
Yes, 100%. But I was just completely like engaged, as they say, no one would be engaged by like the devil and angel on the shoulder aspect of her psyche breaking and trying to deal, like it's like her id and like ego and like all this kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the angel devil concept and everything, I liked how they were bickering with each other in front of her, and fucking Carla Gugino, the review saying like, oh, shitty acting. She fucking acts her ass off in this movie. I was completely blown away by her.
She's my favorite. That's really the only part that I liked about the movie, was especially her talking to herself. Like that women empowerment component of it. I liked her, but every scene, and I understand it's what it was supposed to happen, but every scene with Gerald, I just wanted to just kick him in the nuts.
You're supposed to. Yeah.
I get that. But even just right out of the gate, once again, it's the way this everything is prefaced with, I understand this is the way this movie is supposed to go.
I'm still going to accidentally say it.
I did not like the bones, the premise, the overarching theme of this entire movie. I liked the part about like overcoming trauma. That part, cool. I didn't need to hear and see all of the trauma, especially the consensual non-consent that wasn't consensual.
Yeah,
at the very
line
beginning.
That gets crossed, yeah.
Right. That's not how you do it. You don't just strap your wife to the bed and say, this is what we're doing. And then she says, stop. And then he keeps going right out of the gate. That part was just like, I can't watch this movie.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Solely watching it for this podcast.
But like, this is not me excusing it. That's not what my
You have a really hard job in this episode.
I do.
I have to
but
say.
I think they did a good job though of explaining that this isn't the first time the line has been crossed. Like, remember, the only time he was able to get sexually excited was when he crossed that line and everything. So there is a history of that. Again, not making it acceptable, but I think that they made it warranted in the film. That we see them right off the bat, that they are a loving, couple and all this stuff. And, like they really fit that with, like, on the car ride,
That's not how I see it. I see her as a very like people pleasing kind of person. Like, I'm going to go along with this because this is what my husband wants.
Well, yeah, no, I get that. Well, because we already know that like their marriage, like this is going to be good for us. Like they say that kind of stuff on the car ride. So I'm not saying like I might have actually just said it, but I'm not saying picturesque, but like, on the outside, they seem happy.
Right. Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. On the outside, they seem happy, which they talk about later on. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that I did like about this is like it's not so much heavy-handed like Flanagan does in his other films of just like, and we're going to show this thing forever, and then they use it, and then they use it instantly. There is stuff that like is brought into the equation that you get to realize with her, like, oh, and he loves those blue pills, makes him thirsty, and it's like, oh shit, there's the cup up there. Like, that's fucking great. Like, I liked that it wasn't so heavy-handed.
Okay, the Viagra was extremely heavy-handed.
What do you mean?
And that's when I was like, okay, Mike Flanagan, here we go. The fact that it shot to the pill, you're like, oh, that's Viagra. And then it shot back to the bottle later on, like, just in case you didn't know. Like, it kept shooting to that, like, make sure you remember this component. And I thought that was heavy-handed.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not shooting to the glass.
See, I didn't make the connection about the glass making like the whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things that like they're talking about the pill, but it's that thing of like we're not actually looking at the pill. We're looking at what goes with the pill, and that's what I liked about it. Yes, the heavy-handedness of we're going to keep looking at the phone. We're going to keep looking over here because that's all she can really look at. And when she does get to the phone is dead. Of which his devil side, I'm just going to refer to Devil Gerald and Angel Jess, like, but like Devil Jared. Yes, it's David Bowie from The Labyrinth. Oh, there you go. Would have this been a better film if it was David Bowie? Like, the babe, the babe with the power.
Nothing could make this a better movie.
His codpiece just keeps slowly coming into frame. It's not even David Bowie. It's just his codpiece as Gerald.
The codpiece is what's coming out of the shadow.
Yeah, it's just everything. Viagra bottle, just
tiny codpiece.
Yeah, everything. Just great. But no, yeah, I thought he did a better job at that, like, because whether it's the best foreshadow, it's not the best or anything like that, but like if we're going to compare it to his other films, I think he did a better job at his foreshadowing and stuff like that. But yeah, okay, so we talked about the molest. We've talked about the consensual, non-consent, consensual,
We're
non-consent,
just gonna call
non-consent,
it non-consensual
rape, attempted rape.
It's rape. Yeah. Because she.
Well, I was just using the words that you started with.
Yeah, because that's what he wanted.
I would have just called it rape.
And then she said stop, and then it turned into rape.
Yes.
And then she kicked him in the chest, rightfully so, and bit him, and he got pissed that she bit him. Excuse me.
Well, it's that whole thing of, you see this a lot in people that aren't inwardly powerful, right? Like not actually confident, but like fake it till you make it, and like that's 100% him. Like he's the older man with the younger wife, that he only really has the younger wife because of the life that he's built financially. It's not because of his character and all this stuff. So when the sheet, the Wizard of Oz kind of thing, when it's pulled back and he's found out, like, oh, how dare you?
And it's
like,
her fault. Yeah.
Yes. Like that is very prototypical of that style of guy. Like, these are very real. Like, and that's the thing. These are very real characters. These are very real dynamics that I think Stephen King wrote and Mike Flanagan helped bring to film. But yeah, like, I understand that this is not a comfortable watch, and I don't think it's meant to be a comfortable watch, right?
No. And that's why there are so many trigger warnings for this movie. It's not, like I said, it's okay, it's a good movie as a movie.
Yes.
But the content, I just want to scream at.
It's almost like Stephen King was like, can I touch on as many ideas of sexual assault as possible in this film? But it makes sense, right? Because they talk about the whole, like, because one of the greatest, probably the greatest part of this movie is when Angel Jess says, well, he put you in handcuffs long before Gerald did. And Gerald's like, what are you talking about? That is so fucking good because they don't go directly to it right then and there. And I'm left there sitting like, the fuck are they talking about? And they make this mention of like 12 years or something. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And Gerald's like that too. He's like, what is she talking about? And all this.
And as a woman, I don't know, like as a woman, I knew right away, was like, okay, she has a history of being assaulted at least.
See, I didn't pick it up on the assaulted as much as like I did understand the something has like kept you prisoner, whatever that was. And that's the whole concept of the movie, right? Like being held captive by your demons and overcoming those demons, right? Which they fucking Mike Flanagan just completely shits the bed at the end of it. I don't care if that's how it's written in the book, if we're going to talk about the end of the film, which we will get to, but you don't have to fucking do every single thing that's in the book. Like from other people's aspects and stuff, he already changed some bits here and there and all this stuff. It would have been a better film without that. But because
and I think part of the reason why I ended up getting bored with it was right at that point, the handcuffs, he put you in handcuffs. At that point, I saw the movie as kind of predictable. So then I was watching stuff that I could already see happening.
Okay.
Girl in a dress, creepy dad. Okay, something's going to happen.
Yes.
Okay, they're sitting in a bed. He walks in. Okay, he's going to tell her not to talk about it. All of these things are so ingrained as being a woman that like, okay, I see what's happening. Now I just have to watch it. And it pissed me off having to watch it.
Not being a woman, that's not my lived experience and stuff like that. I'm not taught in a sense, like taught, whether it's on purpose or just taught through experience, that you need to keep your fucking guard up about all these kind of things, right? So like we'll use my experience of watching this film. So the family's at the lake house and everything, and like dad's giving off rapey creepy vibes, but then they're like, I had to actually rewind at one point because the family goes out on the boat, right? And then the dad's sitting there, and I was like, wait, I thought the dad took the boat out with all of them. And I like stopped, and what was going on in my head at this time was like, so does the family die? Like the whole family dies, and then something happens and everything, and then it just goes.
Whoa.
Yeah, like I didn't know. I had no sense of like. I was like, this is just bad casting. It's like dad's coming off rapey. He's supposed to be this loving guy. I did not draw that fucking line at all. So it's not like I was like, oh my god, it's so good because molestation. That wasn't the case. It was the whole like, holy shit, I didn't see it going this way, and this is a lot darker. Like I just kept going like, oops, because like this is the film that I was like, Tasha, I think you're gonna fucking love this. It's Mike Flanagan, and it's just like 12-year-old girl gets molested, fucking raped, like all this stuff, and I'm just like, damn. But like I said, the line that I think was crossed in the I keep saying it this way because it makes it more comfortable to say, in the molest is
gotcha. If I keep, you have to give it a flourish because it's such a gross word.
Yes, exactly. Is where like we're literally watching the dad like biting the lip, jerking off. It's a horrible thing, right? But I'm just like,
how are you laughing right now?
I'm laughing because
you're uncomfortable.
Yes, I'm uncomfortable, and I'm able to detach the fact that, like, yes, this shit happens. I'm laughing because Mike Flanagan made this scene happen multiple times, and he's like, no, bite your lip harder. No, shake the fucking thing more. I'm laughing because, yes, it's very uncomfortable. And if I have to sit here and just be like, yes, this is horrible, I'm going to be fucking miserable. So like my fucking quote unquote trauma response, the trauma of realizing or understanding or whatever that molestation happens, which I already did, but just going like, okay, so this was made as a film. So everybody's like getting on like set and everything, and like, nah, you know what? The lighting wasn't good. You're gonna have to fucking do this again. That's what makes me laugh, right? That's
okay. That's cool.
And it's just the way it was shot and everything. They didn't have to go that far. That's what I'm getting at. They didn't have to, and it, like, because it could have been done in a way where it's more, I guess, in that exact scene, right? They could have made it a little more vague, because we're going to touch on it later where the dad gaslights her into thinking it's her idea to not tell mom, right?
Right.
So they didn't have to go that hard, right, with it. That's my thing. Is like, I feel that that's the only time he really crossed the line, is like the dad biting his lip, basically, like going to town. Because like, yeah, it's like happening. It's like, and it's like right off the bat, like, I've got a dumb idea. I was like, oh my God, this dude's gonna fucking rape his daughter. Like instantly, it was just like, oh no, the family's not dead. Like that's like literally. Oh no, the family's not dead. Well, because like initially how it's like squared up and stuff is like, you know, like I just remember like sitting out here and everything. And it's like, I've got daughters that are older and stuff. Specifically, I've got some that I've raised since they were born, right? And I understand the nostalgia of like looking back on your kids being younger, especially when they're older, right? Because I don't see it so much yet with Wesley, because he's still a little boy and stuff. But like once he hits high school, like that's where it's just like, oh man, like you used to be like this. So I do see that like beginning part, and I'm just like, oh yeah, dad's it just does not go the way. I'm like, I don't relate with this guy anymore. Because like, yeah, it starts off, I'm like, yeah, I think they did a shitty job of making him seem rapey, but like he's nostalgic. Oh God, he's actually rapey. Like, yeah. I'm just like, oh God, no, I fucked up. And I told Steph, like, she came in like maybe like 3/4 of the way of the film, halfway through the film, and she's like, so how is it? And I like paused it. I'm like, you're never gonna want to watch this. I was like, I'll flat out tell you about this movie when it's over, because there's no fucking way that you'll want to watch this. She's like, oh, is it that bad? I was like, it's not that it's bad, yes. It is insanely heavy. Like that's the way that I would describe this. I wouldn't say it's a bad film. I would say it is a heavy film, and it is not for people that, what's the way to word this? Don't come at me. I'm a man that has not lived through this. Parse through what I'm about to say. That's that, right? This movie is paraphrase for you. There you go. This movie is not for people that have gotten past their trauma of molestation or rape. And by gotten past, I mean like worked through it and stuff. Like if you have had this stuff happen and it's still triggering. And the reason I say this is because I do know people that have like, they've went to therapy and stuff, and they've just like, yep, that's my past. There's nothing I can do about that. And they've, for lack of a better term, got over it, moved past it. However you want to word that, right? If you're not one of those people that's had this shit happen to you, do not fucking watch this movie. Like, I can't imagine. Like, that was a good way to put it. Okay. Yeah. Like, it was one of those things, like, I there's a specific way that I want to word this, because I can't say, like, like, girls just need to fucking get over it and just, if you have any unresolved trauma surrounding sexual abuse, rape of any sort, or realistic. Well, even to the point of like, it doesn't even have to be sexual abuse. It can be emotional abuse, because that's the stuff that I picked up on gaslighting. More super hard was like just like the dad gaslighting, her husband gaslighting, her voice not being heard. Yeah. Cause like so many things. I'm not going to go too deep, but I am going to ask you a question that you're more than welcome to answer. And you can... Well, if you're asking me a question, then... Yes, I know. But like when you said like all the trigger warnings and stuff like that, I don't know everything about your history and stuff like that. And we're not going to divulge anything like that on the podcast. But there is one question that I do have to ask if it was triggering for you, which is not as deep as it gets in this film, right? But like the gaslighting kind of shit,
yeah.
Was that triggering, like in the sense, like...
Yeah, that's like Gerald, like I said, was just a shit man, because exactly that. And the dad, you don't know what you're thinking isn't accurate. I'm going to impart thoughts into you. This is how it actually happened. And so that component, and also the blame.
Okay.
You did this. This is why this is all happening. It's your fault. That realm. Like, so it started right out of the gate with all of that.
Because I don't have a history of being gaslit. If anything, I've probably gaslit. I'm not perfect. I probably have. If somebody out there is like, Nick gaslit the fuck out of me, I'm like, well, it wasn't on purpose, I guess. Like, and
it's not to say that I haven't either. Like,
yeah,
who
like
knows? But I've been a victim, but I've been on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, like, and that's where I just didn't want to go too deep into the weeds on that or anything, but like getting your life experience viewpoint on it against mine, because I was able to pick up on it and stuff, being like, and being a man, I'm just going like, this is gaslighting. Like, putting my finger up, like, I know what this is. I have heard a lot about this. Like, it's one of those things, right? Like, I understand what it is, but I've not, what's the way to put this? I've not consciously been gaslit. I don't believe. So if someone's tried to gaslight me, it didn't work, right? And I don't think that my personality, it has nothing to do with being a man or a female or anything, or woman, whatever. I don't fucking care. Anything on the spectrum. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, I don't think my personality allows it to work, because I'm such a combative asshole with that kind of stuff. So not saying that you're meek or weak or anything like that, but you definitely do not have the same personality that I do. Like, you and I are we learn from each other, right? You learn to be a little stronger personality from me as I learn to be more accepting from you. And I'm just a fucking bastard a lot of times, right? But
and I've always been the one to keep the peace.
Correct.
And that's where that type of personality, I think, is susceptible to it, because you just kind of go with the flow in a sense until it becomes too much.
Yeah. And like, once I get a whiff of gas, I'm just like, listen here, motherfucker.
Yeah.
We're not playing this fucking game. We're going to have a conversation like adults. And if you want to fucking spin some shit, I'm going to spin your head right off your fucking shoulders. Like, that's how my brain goes. Like, oh, I see what, like, I instantly like pick up on that kind of manipulation and stuff like that. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that's because in my past I have been manipulated by separate parties, I'll just say, and everything like that. But I don't believe I was ever gaslit. I mean, I think I was like manipulated in other ways, and keeping truths kept truths from me and stuff like that, which obviously could be a form of gaslighting if you bring it up and it's like, no, that's not, you're the crazy one. Like, that's the obvious, like, the surface level, I'm not crazy, you're crazy. Gaslighting 101. And so it's one of those things where I was like, I don't know how realistic the depiction of gaslighting was in this, because for me to pick up on it, I was like, is this just like kind of over the top, or does this actually seem kind of real?
I thought it seemed kind of real. I don't have experience with like the 12-year-old version, but I mean, I could totally see that happening, where you're not overtly saying like, don't do this. Like, it's that whole thing of like just switching the narrative to make you think that what they're thinking is accurate. Yeah.
So, okay. Enough of the heavy stuff. Let's talk about the best character in the film.
Let's talk about Gerald's game.
The dog. Who I was rooting for the whole time as he's eating Gerald and all this stuff. I'm just like, yeah, fucking get him. Yeah, eat his fucking face. I was really hoping, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was really hoping that one of those tear parts, he's going to drag the head out into the fucking like hallway. That's what I was hoping for. I didn't get it, but I did get to watch him feast on some of the best meat that he's probably had, because it's so fresh.
Yeah.
You find yourself going, man, I wish I had more Pod of the Dead. Well, you're in luck. We have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/podofthedead666, you can find us there and get the full videos of our episodes with added content such as serious pasta for serious people. So again, that is patreon.com/podofthedead666.
At Kobe at the beginning, just to give him that taste of blood.
Which is $200 a portion. I actually had it flown in. I was like, okay, I know this guy. I get this guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's flaunting his money. That is what makes his power. Seems like a very close comparison to the sweet potato Hitler that's running around the country currently. But actually, as this comes out, hopefully we're done with this. But but I thought it was really interesting. I sent you the Reddit post. Did you read all of it, or I just read kind of like half of it, maybe, What did you? Okay, so the Reddit post that I sent Natasha talks about that the fact that the dog actually doesn't exist in the film in the house. Everything outside the house with the dog exists, but the dog inside the house is actually the Moonlight Man because her psyche's breaking and all this stuff, so she's just not able to deal with it. Whether that's true or not, I think that's kind of a cool way to look at this movie.
I like it in the context of the movie. I did do a little bit more digging, and in the book, the dog actually exists. Yeah. So as far as the way Stephen King wrote it, that's not how it's supposed to go. Mm-hmm. But I do like that because like she just snaps and can't even fathom a man eating her husband on the floor. Yeah, because so many of the things are similar, like that he only eats men, like all that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's kind of a cool like little look at the film. And I mean the whatever could be brought up that like maybe the Moonlight Man and the dog are parallel, right? Like not in the sense of like they're both the same thing. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like characteristically they're parallel and stuff, so you're seeing this kind of stuff. But I liked the aspect of the dog, the fact that the dog's like getting a little more like, well, maybe I'm gonna get some fresh meat. And like she wakes up to it fucking like chomping on her foot, or wakes up again and it's like fucking doesn't it get her arm later on when she passes out that she wraps in pads, which I love that. Like I was just like, that's because I was like, okay, she's gonna get the towel. It's like, nope, I'm gonna get these pads because they're super absorbent, they're sticky, all this stuff, right? But I wish, if we're talking about the Moonlight Man and the dog, I wish there was more of the Moonlight Man. I don't think that I would have before where it goes later. Right. Like take out the ending still. Yes. But like in the book, the whole thing is this Moonlight Man. Have you read the book? I haven't read the book, but I needed to know about the book. Okay. To appreciate the movie. Gotcha. Usually when I watch, if I know there's a movie adaptation of a book, I like to read the book first. Didn't have time, so I still did a little digging. But in the book, she is trying to get away from the Moonlight Man, who's trying to kill her, instead of just lurking in the background. Okay. And I wish it would have gone that route a little bit more and been more of like an evading an intruder, which are some of my favorite horror movies, and less just like dealing with her own demons while this other thing is happening. Yeah. I feel like one or the other, having them both just kind of muddied the water, because you don't really get until the very end, which is just dumb. Yeah. Poorly written. You don't even really understand the point of the Moonlight Man being there. I wish the Moonlight Man was what Gerald said. Like, I wish it was fantastical. I wish it, because like the first time you see him, I thought was fucking amazing. Yeah. It's like, I think there's something in the shadows, then he steps out a bit. You're like, oh fuck. And then he steps back in. And then the whole idea of him having the bag full of bones and trophies, I was like, this is fucking great. And the fact that they're like talking about like he is death and all this stuff, I was just like, this is so good, to the point where like she gives the ring and gets out and everything. Yeah, I liked that. So good.
I actually did like the end time that you do see him like in the courthouse where he like his responses like, "You're not real, you're made of moonlight." I did like that, but it wasn't necessary. The whole like writing the story and actually it was this whole thing that it's so bad because in the book maybe there was more like interweaving of it or something. The only interweaving we get of this is when they're on the car ride to it, the radio is talking about like someone breaking in the crypts and all this kind of stuff. You get it kind of in passing, and that's it. And the rest of the time you're like left with this like fantastical kind of thing. And if they would have left it with that fantastical thing, it would have been an easy extra point for this movie, because we didn't do our initial thing at the beginning. Sorry, guys. We'll do it next time.
My score's not changing.
Yeah, mine's not either. But it would have cut time down. It would have been down to like an hour and a half, which is always like a solid. And this is like 147. And those 17 minutes come at the end, I feel. Like at least it feels like it's 17 minutes. It feels really fucking drawn out there at the end. Like it just, I wish it would have stayed fantastical and ambiguous of like, is it real? Is it not real? Instead of being like, it's real and just keeps hitting you over the head with it, you know, as I sit here with my friction reducing glove writing. I'm just like, no one fucking cares. My hand
still hurts to write. Why don't you type it?
No one fucking cares about this. Like literally, like I get the sense of the whole idea. This is where the Mike Flanagan comes in, right? We get it. The metaphor is getting past your demons. Oh my fucking God. You don't have to be so heavy handed with it. So it's like he does like, I'd say like 75% of a film that's like chess quality for me, right? Like just, yes, the subject matter is heavy as fuck, but like in execution, other than lip biting. Well, the original lip biting, dad lip biting. We didn't need that.
Yeah.
Everything's great. And then I've never seen a film do it. It nosedives so fucking hard.
It turned into a Hallmark movie.
It did. It was so bad. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. What I wanted to happen was she was writing this letter telling about the shit dad she had, and then the dad got convicted. Okay. That's what I wanted to happen. And that would tie it all together a little bit more. She overcame her demons. Dad got, tried for his wrongs. And then the Midnight Man was just like in the wind.
Yeah, I love Mike Flanagan. What the fuck? That ending, so shit. Like
another Oculus.
I cannot think of a movie that is shit the bed more in its ending, personally.
And my guess is it was going too long, movie-wise, and instead of acting out all of that, he just had her turn it into a letter.
Yeah.
Because in the book, it happens. It follows Jesse going to the courthouse, spitting in his face.
Okay.
And that's that. But this was just like, I'm just going to write it out to my younger self. What?
I don't. Yeah, because that is what she's doing. She's apologizing to herself, but also like we've become stronger and all this stuff. And then she joins the Watchmen and fights crime in the 80s. I think she's also in Sin City, which but since we didn't have a lot up top, I wanted to do this early on, but we'll do it now. You said you've seen a decent amount of Stephen King adaptations, right?
I would like to say yes.
What would you say is your top 3 Stephen King adaptations?
The Shining, definitely.
Are we starting with number 1, or are you?
Do they have to be in order, or can it just be 3?
I suppose we can just do 3.
Because I have a hard time putting things in order. It always fluctuates. But I mean, okay,
it's allowed to fluctuate.
Number 1.
At this very given moment, you feel this.
Yeah, The Shining is number 1. So I'm kind of buried. Now you get the top.
Okay.
The new ones.
You like the new ones?
I like the new ones. I've never seen the old ones.
Okay. The old one was a mini series, but like Are you putting it and It Chapter 2 together as like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's one.
Yeah.
It's one thing.
If we ever cover that, that's how we're going to have to do it, I think. Or two. I don't fucking know. I don't know how we're going to do that.
I'm excited for the mini series.
Yeah.
I heard that they're
Welcome to Derry. Yeah.
And then...
Do you want me to throw out some that maybe you forgot or anything?
Well, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm kind of tossing between Pet Sematary and Carrie.
I was going to say Carrie, Misery, Christine,
Misery,
The Mist.
Oh, I forgot about them. I didn't realize.
Yeah, see, like he's got The Green Mile. Let me think. Yeah, Dr. Sleep, Gerald's Game.
Definitely not.
What other?
Joe.
Cujo.
You do Tremors.
Creep Show. No, he didn't do Tremors. Maximum Overdrive, which
Definitely
he also
not.
directed, and it just coke fueled Stephen King.
He wrote that in like a weekend or something.
Yeah,
like
he
that,
did.
right?
He's like, fuck it, I'll do my own goddamn movie. My top 3 Stephen King's would probably be, and I'll start from 3 because I know how to do countdown lists.
Mine changed anyway, just while you were talking. I can redo it.
Trying to think here. God. Number 3
Doing
is
great, Nick.
Number 3 is the hardest one because I know what 2 and 1 are. But number 3, I'm going to have to go with Misery at number 3. Number 2, The Shining. And then number 1, The Mist. I fucking love The Mist. I think it's in my top 10 films, period. Like, not just horror. Like, I think that movie is just expertly done. And it's directed by Frank Darabont, who does a lot of Stephen King adaptations. Like he did. Oh yeah, here's another one. Shawshank Redemption. That's another Stephen King one, right? So I tried to keep it in the horror like aspect and stuff because Shawshank's really good too. But I don't know if I'd even put that in the top 3. But yeah, I would say, as it sits in my head right now, I would go with Misery, then The Shining, and then The Mist.
I'm going to redo mine.
Okay. You're going to do it properly?
I'm going to do it properly. Coming in the 3rd spot, I have The Mist, then Misery, then The Green Mile.
Oh, that's not horror.
You didn't say horror. You just said Stephen King. Okay, if it's not... God damn it. Okay, if we're not doing horror, then The Shining still stays in that spot. If we're doing solely Stephen King, then The Green Mile gets that spot.
Okay. I don't...
So good.
I don't understand how The Shining jumps to number 1. But okay. If it's not number 2... with your listing, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
I didn't. I said The Mist, Misery, and then either The Shining or The Green Mile.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be
one.
The Shining and Green Mile would be 1 and 2, and then your 3 would be something else? Oh, that's not how Tasha's list work.
That's not how Tasha's list works.
Okay. Tasha's list is actually 4 movies. But like they don't make any goddamn sense of ranking. They're just, these are both number 1s. Okay, well then something should not be 2 and be 3. No, that's not how this works. And if I remove one of the number 1s, it doesn't even make the list now.
Because when you put it that way, it does sound ridiculous. But I stand by my word.
Even when I'm wrong, I'm right.
My top 3 has 4 movies. Oh, man.
Yeah, but like kind of going back, like we're definitely off Gerald's Game, right? But like the It movies, I've seen the first one. I like the first one. I started the second one. I never finished it. It is what it is. I'll get around to it one day. But
I really liked them. They weren't like scary, but I really, really liked the movie. I really liked Pennywise.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is phenomenal. All right, you ready to get into reviews?
Yeah.
I'll get mine out of the way, and then you can shit all over it.
Okay.
So, what do you think I'm giving this movie?
I think you are giving it a 6.5.
I'm actually giving this a 7.25. Yeah, I thought this was a lot better than I'm sorry, a 7, not a 7. Because if that ending wasn't shit, I felt comfortable giving it an 8, but that ending shit the bed so hard. So I'm giving it a 7. I don't know why I gave it a 7.25. I don't know. But yeah, it's a 7. I would watch this again. And then just shut it off after the car accident.
There you go.
Like, realistically, like, oh, I got what I need out of this. You know, like, it just is what it is. Fucking 10 out of 10.
Just wash your hands of it. And
yeah, Nick, you left out, like, literally a quarter of the film. Nope, not this. This is the Nick cut. Where we get more dog scenes and less end scenes.
Yeah. Is that all you have?
Yeah, I like I said, I think that I think he did a really good job of handling subject matters. Granted, we didn't need to like actively see the dad jerking off, but yeah. And we didn't even touch on it. The fucking like the eclipse scenes and stuff are so eerie with the red lighting and stuff. It kind of reminded me of like Mandy and stuff. It definitely had that like. Yeah, I just really liked that mood that it kind of set, this ominous like lighting over everything.
I guess that's a tie-in to another Stephen King short story or book. I can't remember the name of it, but there's something supposed to be happening during that eclipse on the other side of the lake.
Oh, yeah, I did. It's like Dolores something.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I saw that doing research too. I feel bad because maybe you're a huge Stephen King fan listening to this and stuff. There was a lot of references to Stephen King books in the film that I'm not a big reader, especially of Stephen King. So I was like reading it. I was like, I don't know if this is true or not. So I could just be giving. He
called the dog Cujo.
Yes, I did pick that up. Obviously, yeah. Yes. But yeah, there was like some people were like, I'm so glad that he kept in the Dolores Finch. That's not it, but because I'm thinking of Edith Finch, which is a horror video game. But yeah. It was good stuff though. Like, so I think you are going to give this movie a 4 out of 10.
Nope. I'm giving it a 3.
Oh my God.
And I'll give you the 3 points. It had Kate Siegel. It had Easter eggs. It had a fuzzy dog that didn't die.
Really? That's it?
Yep. That's it. The acting was good.
Yeah.
Well, the acting can go into one of those.
You're telling me Carla, like her acting and stuff doesn't push it up? Like, I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm just like, you're giving me the points. And I'm like, really? If like, you're not giving it for her?
We can, the dog can be a 0.5 point and Jessie can be another 0.5 point, making that.
Okay, that's fine. 3. It's not about the points. It's about the reason for the points for me. When you're going to say this movie was only 3 points good because of these things, I'm like, so you didn't like this? That's just where my brain goes.
Yeah, I got it. I wouldn't ever watch this again.
Understandable.
I would really toe lightly on anyone or tread lightly on giving it up for anyone to watch.
Really?
Because the content is so heavy. Yeah.
Oh, I would give a trigger warning like up front, like, because I think Mom would really like this movie, but I think
she probably read the book.
Yeah, like, but it would also be one of those things like, if this isn't something you're down for, just be known that there is sexual assault and molestation. Granted, they're both the same, whatever, but and it treads in those lanes. Like, that's all I would say. And if you're like, no, thank you. Because if someone told me that, I'd probably be like, nah, I don't want to watch that. But not knowing it went that hard into it, like, I'm glad I watched it, but you obviously not so much.
Let me continue.
Yes, sorry.
I also liked the like escape room aspect of it, like how Jessie was trying to figure out like how she made the straw out of the tag. That was really cool. I was like, oh my God, she's making a straw. She could drink the water. Being dehydrated after just a few hours, I don't buy that. So there are little things like storyline wise that I didn't like, aside from the whole overarching theme. I wish the ending was different.
Big time.
Gerald was a douche. Dad, like I said, I saw coming. I don't like that I said that.
You said it.
Okay.
That's gonna be the fucking clip that I take out of this and make.
Gross. So all that being said, Mike Flanagan, do better. I give it a 3.
Yeah, like I get it. Like I like not for everyone. Like that's the big thing. I think if people are putting this up there as like Mike Flanagan's greatest works and stuff like that, I feel bad for anybody that's like, well, I'll dip my toe into Mike Flanagan and this is what they get.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's for everybody. IMDb though gives this a 6.5. So people tend to like this more than dislike it, I would suppose. But I 100%, it's one of those things like if a movie deals with subject matter that you're just not down with,
Right.
not going to be down with it. If you're not down with sexual assault stuff, and I'm not saying I am, right? But like it doesn't affect me like it does others. It's not going to be for you. Like for me is some like subject matter that I'm not about is snowy cottage villages with a doctor that gives all of his money to the orphans, and then like the lady comes in from out of town and finds her true love, and that's the film, aka damn near every Hallmark Christmas film.
Yeah.
If that's the subject matter, I'm like, I'm not fucking watching that. But I do watch one every year to appease a few of the ladies in this household because they're down with it. But yeah, I get it. One person's sexual assault is another one's cozy Christmas village.
Jesus Christ. All right. Moving on.
What? So what's that give us for our final score?
Gerald's game gets a 55.
You'll more than likely like this.
Barely.
With the caveat that you don't have some sort of trauma in your life that this would touch on. I think if you've never experienced gaslighting, sexual assault, molestation, all those things, if you've never experienced any of that, I think you're more than likely going to like that. And I hope that 55% of the population hasn't against the 45. Now, I'm not saying that I wish that 45% of the population has dealt with that. I'm just saying it less.
Talking.
No, God, no, I can't stop. It's already started. Oh God, I just keep digging my grave. This is the episode that gets me canceled.
Even though you're trying so hard to be compassionate.
Please, I'm sorry. But yeah, so yeah, all right. Well, we got through that. I'm sorry. You're welcome. You're welcome that you got to watch Gerald's game. Now, next week, we are going to be watching something a little more quote unquote lighthearted, right? Not so heavy handed, or not heavy handed, heavy content wise. We are going to be watching Eli Roth's Thanksgiving that came out last year. We're in the turkey gobble gobble motherfucker season. Why not cover Thanksgiving from last year? This is streamable. I do know. I'm not 100% sure where, but I know it has been hitting some places.
It's on Netflix.
There you go. So it's a slasher. It's a Thanksgiving slasher directed by Eli Roth. You may know him from like Hostel. So he's really into special effects and stuff like that. You may also know him from, he did the House with the Clock in the Walls with Jack Black.
Oh yeah.
And most recently, he's responsible for the Borderlands movie.
Oh. So he's wide variety.
Yes, so fucking all over the place. But I have seen this movie. I saw it in theaters because goddamn, I just kind of really a Thanksgiving slasher. I'm there. That sounds dumb as fuck, but
let's do it.
But it's I can go in saying it's not Gerald's game, Tasha.
Okay. That's all that I care about.
All right. So, with all that being said, the links below, check them out. If you want to get to vote on a monthly episode, go to our Patreon for $5 a month. You get the video content of these episodes unedited. You get some added content here and there. You'll also get the schedule for the month of what films are coming out this month, and you get to vote on movies that we're going to cover. So for Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.